get there, the last, I guess you can say, major event, since we are in a lull period, as we mentioned, we did see some tier 1 organizations, some teams compete this past weekend. A brand new looking, at least a 2.0 version, Immortals, making it all the way to the grand finals of the Renegades / Nerd Street Gamers tournament. And ANDBOX, one of the new additions to the NA Valorant scene, capturing the dub here. I do want to mention one thing, Emily, based on how much you like to pay attention to agent picks and usage. Did you ever think we'd get to a point where Sage would have a 0% pick rate and Omen would essentially have a 100% pick rate?
I mean, you could kind of see the Sage falling off in terms of how people started playing a lot faster, which goes back to why I was so super harsh on T1 previously, because they didn't show that improvement in this tournament. But again, their roster's new. You know what I think is more interesting is we look at ANDBOX and we look at how they won, and their Viper on split was so cool. Like, I'm so happy to see that people are, and obviously, again, she's received a lot of changes since the last time we talked about her. So this is like night and day in terms of when we last talked about how no one was playing Viper, blah, 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 blah. Like, does she have a place, et cetera, et cetera. But so it's kind of like weird to compare to the last time I talked about this. But man, that was so cool to see. Like, I was so happy because I actually really love playing Viper. And I was really happy to see her used in such a cool way in a competitive match. And to have ANDBOX come out and look so well coordinated right off the bat was super, super impressive. And obviously, again, we didn't have Sentinels or GSM or 100T, NB, Dig. So this is like not a major tournament, but still, it's a massive step in the right direction for ANDBOX. Their scouting seems to be really good. This team seems to get along really well together. And the Viper was cool, so keep it up.
Arda, I think we're bearing the lead here.
Okay, what's the lead?
I'm gonna say it. It's been, I know this has been like an odyssey since the Valorant shows really started, but I'm gonna make a statement here. I'm gonna stand by. I'm gonna die on this hill, Arda. Are you ready for the lead?
Ready.
Ninja is a really damn good Valorant player. He's really good. Like, not memeing. We're not memeing here. He's not really good in the sense of he's really good as a streamer playing Valorant, or like, he's giving his best shot. Like, Ninja's actually really good, and his team time in are quite, like, they're actually a real team. Like, they are a real team. They took T1 to the death. Like, they played them even. That was a close game that came down to very minuscule mistakes on both sides. Then they played the Moon Raccoons, who made top 4 and almost beat ANDBOX. And that series, again, went to overtime and barely lost. They beat Renegades pretty handily, an actual organization in the one game they won. But this team of Kurt, Morg, Ninja, Danny, like, this team is actually really good. And I think it's time we actually like we've memed Ninja a lot. We've memed him a lot on the show. We've talked about how he's good enough for a streamer, but the man has put in probably more hours than most pros, and he's grinding this game super hard. And as someone who's watched him, each tournament, he goes invited as a streamer, right? At the start of Valorant, he was invited, and his teams were invited because he was Ninja. And they wanted that, extra boost of, we have Ninja in our tournament. We have one of the biggest gamers in the world playing in our tournament. And that's why he was invited. Now, he's legitimately good enough to be invited to these big tournaments. He's a team where if you are a team in First Strike and you get time in the first round, if you're a Dignitas, or if you're like an Equinox, or if you're a FaZe Clan, you might lose that best of 3 because this time in team is really good, especially Kurt, who is a former T1 Academy player who was excellent in the matches they played. And Ninja's just a really smart player. He's a veteran of the game, and he's not the greatest mechanical player in Valorant, but the guy shows he has no fear. He doesn't have, these kind of dips in performance in terms of nerves of some other, younger players in the scene. And Timon is a really good team, and I think Ninja deserves respect. He's not just a streamer anymore in this Valorant scene. I see him as a real, true Valorant pro. Sure, he might not go fully pro because he is Ninja. He makes tons of money through his streaming, very similar to Asu. But he's a player who could be on one of these, mid-range, top 10, top 15 teams in North America and upset some of the best teams in the world. I honestly believe, while watching him play and how much he's improved and the team's improved throughout their iterations, that he deserves a lot of respect. I think his team deserves a lot of respect because a few things go differently, and that team goes 2-0 in the group, and who knows what they do in the groups in the bracket stage. They're actually a really good team.
And he actually has given up a lot of lucrative opportunity. Yep. I think he was going to do a stream with Mr. Beast.
Yeah,
he
turned it down. He turned down the trivia competition.
Yeah,
this
so
tournament.
He cares, which that's what you love to see. That actions speak louder than words. That just proves to you how much he cares about this game. So I hope he succeeds. I'm with you, Tyler. He could be the face of VALORANT if he was on a team that was competitive and he was consistently making playoff appearances and doing really good on a team like that. Man, can you imagine how great that would be for the game?
He plays Killjoy. He just plays Killjoy. He doesn't have to carry. He can be the fifth man. We've seen how Jacob feels about some of the anchors of some other top teams. It's not like Ninja in that kind of sense couldn't be like a anchor or a supportive player or supporting some top tier carries. Like, he's a really smart player. And seeing the evolution of him in the first few tournaments where he was invited as kind of a, oh, you're Ninja, you get to come in. It doesn't matter how good you are. You could be a plat player and we're still going to invite you in, to now where he's, doing really well against some of the best teams in North America. And it's impressive. And I sure, TSM Sentinels weren't here, but they played T1 really closely, and they gave the Moon Raccoons, who were the surprise of the tournament, like a run for their money as well.
Great name, by the way, Moon Raccoons. Let's go.
I think it just shows how we have no clue what VALORANT really holds. Like, we have no clue who the good teams are. We know Sentinels and TSM more than likely are still the number 1 and number 2 teams in North America, but there are so many new talents, new names, so many ups and downs when it comes to the VALORANT scene right now in the Western, not just the West, in the entire global of the VALORANT esports scene, is that on any given day, any team can be any team outside of a very few select groups. Like, Gen G bombed out of this tournament, and they are a team that's been together since the beta. They've been together since the very start of the VALORANT esports scene. They lost the Moon Raccoon, so who knows what we're going to see at First Strike. With these open qualifiers, with these best of threes, where a time in might draw a FaZe Clan in the first round, that might be an upset right there. I don't think that the gap is that wide, even in the Sentinels to a time in. It's not like League of Legends where if you put top esports versus, Dignitas in a best of 3, top esports probably wins that 99 times out of 100. Where in this day and age, I don't think the gap is even close as wide. Where, Sentinels is going to beat time in probably 9 out of 10 times, but it's not 99 out of 100.